Good afternoon, Ms. Bridgewater.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
The SAP reset calendar, please.
Yes, March 18th.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Hey,
We will
Holly.
get,
Holly, can you hear me?
Barely.
Hi, let me see if I can turn up my volume.
Okay.
Uh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Is Patia Davis supposed to be on the calendar this afternoon?
Yes, position number 4.
Okay, so she wasn't already seen because it indicates that I guess she was seen, but there was a problem with the cosigner.
I wouldn't know.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'm gonna need a few minutes to interview her then because I don't have paperwork or anything.
Okay.
Ms.
All right,
Bridgewater, this afternoon, Mr. Coleman. Ms. Bridgewater, this isn't the one from last evening.
I
Mr.
think it
McLean,
is.
Mr. McLean's matter.
I believe so. The my calendar indicates that needed update regarding the cosigner.
Okay. It
Right,
sounds like this may be the same case, Judge.
Yeah.
right. Mr. Coleman, I was dealing with this last Friday. It's a young lady, I believe, that's 17 years old. And we were looking for placement for her. If this is, if that's the same
Judge,
case that,
I'm sorry,
yes,
Judge. This is Katrina. You remember this was one on my calendar with a young lady that had we think it was a defects, and they was talking about getting in touch with her foster parent, and they were supposed to follow up. We didn't put on the SAP calendar because you were saying you were revisit the bond amount if they get some more information about changing it to a signature bond, if we can get more information. That's what
right,
that was.
right. So
So
that's,
I'm
we've
just
been,
reminding everybody.
yes, we have been working on that, or they've been working on that with Mr. McLean. Were you able to resolve that matter, Mr. McLean?
Yes, Your Honor. We have the former foster mother, a person who is willing to work with her now and pick her up, and we might have the social worker on as well. So we asked to put that on to the calendar as an add-on today. And I went to her at the ACDC jail, and she said that she was willing to change her position from when she had rejected the idea when she went to the defects office. She had walked out without signing back up for foster care, and she says she was willing to enthusiastically reverse that position, sign up for foster care again, and ask for a signature bond.
Okay, we'll deal with the case when she's before me. All right, so we're all on the same accord with that.
And I
Thank
just
you.
have one other question. Is there a private attorney online for Raynard Jackson?
Doesn't appear to be, Mr. Coleman.
Okay, yeah, because I was informed that he had a private attorney.
Okay, if no one comes on, when we get to him, I'll ask that you represent him if he chooses.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Fred
All right.
Squaw, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Judge. So quick question. Are we going to need Ms. Davis so Coleman can go ahead and interview her, or she's not needed? So she's here.
She is going to be needed. I'm not, hopefully Mr. McLean has already spoken with her, but we are going to need her this afternoon.
Okay.
Okay?
So wait, you said McLean spoken to her when?
Last night.
Oh, last night. Okay. So she doesn't need to be interviewed again?
Not interviewed again, no, just appear on camera.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, where would you all like to start this afternoon?
Let's start with position number 5. He has a private attorney, Mr. Am I saying it right? Golden?
Yes, sir.
Golden.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Golden. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. It's my understanding that you do have an attorney representing you this afternoon. Mr. Golden, you have been charged in case 25 CR 001126C with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
resident of Tallahassee, 2011 battery dismissed.
Okay, good afternoon, Ms. McConkey.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This incident happened on June 24th of 2023 at 6440 East Johns Crossing in Johns Creek, Georgia. The victim in this case is Jocelyn Bermudez Delgadillo. The parties were having a verbal argument when the defendant grabbed a large jar of hair gel and threw it at his wife. Per the warrant, the victim complained of pain but had no visible injury. The incident did occur in front of the parties' 2 minor children. Our office has spoken with the victim in this case, who confirms her and the defendant are married. They live together in Tallahassee and share 4 children. She states they were in Georgia visiting at the time of this incident, and they are from and live in Tallahassee. Her and the defendant were having an argument, and she only called the police because she wanted him to leave. She did state that the defendant never threw anything at her, and they have been living together since this incident, and there has been no violence since. She's not in fear of him and does want to continue contact. The state's recommendation for Mr. Golden is a signature bond, no further violent contact with the victim in this case, that he undergo some anger awareness, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. Of course, because he lives in Florida, we are fine with him reporting a pre-trial over the phone. I would ask the court to sound for the victim in this case.
Okay, if Ms. who's the last name, Ms. McConkey?
Bermudez Delgadillo.
If Ms. Delgadillo is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Doesn't appear so.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. My name is Doug Weinstein, and I represent Mr. Golden in this case. I believe his wife is on the Zoom at this moment.
Afternoon, Mr. Weinstein. Let's see. And tell me her full name again, counsel.
Her full name is Jocelyn. Wait, maybe she's dropped. Oh no, there she is, Jocelyn Bermudez, and she is on there with her microphone muted.
Oh, okay. Yes, Ms. Bermudez, if you would like to address the court and you're with us, now is your opportunity to do so. I'll need for you to activate your camera and unmute yourself. Have you spoken with her, counsel?
I have, and what she tells me is the exact same as that she has spoken to the state and told them that since this, first of all, that he never did throw anything at her. Since this incident has occurred, they have continued to live together for the past 2 years without incident, and that, sorry about that, and that she does wish for him to be bonded out on a signature bond and the no violent contact. They have 4 children together, Your Honor. My client's been gainfully employed with the same employer for the last dozen years. So I don't believe there's any, all the IL factors would weigh in his favor. And again, we appreciate the state's bond request for a signature bond, and their special conditions are all acceptable to us, Your Honor. And let me add one other thing. Mr. Golden has already completed an anger management course. I have the certificate for that. So he's been proactive on this, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. Given the age of the case and what you tell me, counsel, would be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail, no further violent contact with Ms. Bermudez, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Anything further this afternoon, counsel?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
You're welcome. You have a good rest of your day. Good luck to you, Mr. Golden.
May I be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Let's see, who do we have next?
Give me 1 second. Let me just grab the people.
Judge, we can go ahead and do position number 4, Ms. Davis.
Okay. Yes, good afternoon again, Ms. Davis. I saw you, I believe, on last Friday. You're charged in case 25 CR 001048C with simple assault and simple battery. What progress have we made, Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, yes, was charged with 1 count of simple assault, 1 count of simple battery, and it turned out that just either the same day or the day before or something like that, very quickly before the incident involved, she had been accompanied to the defects office to sign back up for foster care. And at that time, she changed her mind and rejected it. And now she's changing her mind back and saying, it would be a good idea for me to get a new foster parent. We have discussed this with her former foster mother, Angel Johnson, and with Mr. Frank, who is offering to give her a ride and may be able to find a job for her in this endeavor. I also discussed it with, this morning I got on the phone with the social worker who was said she would staff it. She didn't know whether or not defects would accept her about face, but a good faith effort would be made to staff it and ask if they would. And all she can do is make a good faith commitment, follow through, and add facts. So hopefully that'll go through.
Okay, so just so I understand, you have made contact with DFACS or not?
I have the actual social.
Okay, and Miss Angel Johnson, she is willing to be the foster parent at this point.
No, she is in Chicago taking care of a sick relative. She won't be back in Atlanta for a while. And signing up for DFACS and foster care again, foster parent again, she would be assigned a new one.
Okay, so.
And there's no guarantee they'll assign her anybody at all.
So once she gets out, where is she going?
Mr. Franks is going to take her to a residence and then find her a job.
Who is Mr. Franks?
He should be on the Zoom. He is the person that she had listed the phone number of as her emergency contact. We spoke with him, and he does that kind of work. I don't know that he's a foster parent per se, but he does work with youth and rehab and that sort of thing. Did Mr. Franks get a sign back on, Ms. Johnson? Or is she here?
And Your Honor, ultimately, what we found out is that the defendant signed herself out of DFACS custody through Cobb County DFACS in December of 2024. She just turned 18. She still has until April to be engaged with DFACS and have support and a foster family. She obviously said no to that in December when she signed herself out. She is able to go back through that process because she clearly, as far as the state is concerned, needs some more support. The judgment in this case showing up to someone's house and demanding to be allowed to stay there after meeting someone on Instagram that it turned out was a disabled adult, and then engaging in a physical altercation with these people is an illustration of the fact that this young woman still needs some guidance. And so Your Honor gave her a surety bond and said you'd reconsider the surety bond when you had some more information about what the plan was for her. So ultimately, there are people set up to support her, but it is going to require that she go and submit herself back to the DFACS system.
Okay, so I guess what my concern still is that I need to know who this Mr. Franks is, where she's going once she gets out, and how that's going to proceed.
And where's
Mr. Franks going to take her?
He's got a residence to take her to, but I don't. I'm surprised he's not on. I need to call him because I thought he was going to be on at 2:00 with Miss Johnson. So.
Okay. I'm willing to give her a signature bond, and I don't know if Miss Allen, have you had the opportunity to talk to this Mr. Franks or?
Your Honor, I did not speak with him, but I did learn some information about him, and I verified with the DFACS liaison that we work with the status of this young woman. Ultimately, the state's concern was that she just have no further contact with the victims in this case. Her address is out of Hampton, Georgia. She does not have any juvenile history. But she does have failure to appears and an aggravated assault case out of Gwinnett County from 2022 that was dismissed. So again, she just needs some guidance. We just want to make sure that the no contact with Ms. Pittman and Mr. Pittman, Makari Pittman, and to stay away from the 6150 Tucker Lane address is adhered to. But I think there's some concern about where she's going to be living, and I would echo that.
I am here, by the way, Mr. Frank.
Okay. Yes, is it Jermaine?
That's correct.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Franks. Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
So help me God.
Okay, thank you, sir. What can you tell me as far as what you will be able to offer, Ms. Davis?
If Ms. Davis needs transport from the facility and overnight stay, she can stay at my house overnight. From there, my intention is to get her back over to DFACS so that she can get signed in. I work with an agency, and that agency is going to try to beeline her into their company for care. And one of her biggest concerns is that she's been in foster care and she's been abused before. She wants to make sure that she's going to a place where she is protected. So if I have her within vicinity of me, if not exactly in my home, but in one of the other foster parents' homes, I can check on her and make sure that she's okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Frank. So it will be for each count a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. An adult co-signer to be released to, who is Jermaine Franks. Is that Franks, sir?
Yes, pardon me, Judge. I intended no financial responsibility for her bond. I'm just willing to come in.
She's got a signature bond, Mr. Franks. So
okay,
there won't
okay.
be any financial responsibility for you.
Okay.
Okay. An adult co-signer who is Jermaine Franks. No further contact with the alleged victim. Stay away from the incident location. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. It's my understanding, based on the conversation, that DFACS will continue to be involved in this matter, and she's going to be attempting to get back into the DFACS system. Ms. Bridgewater, what is it that
It's 1,000 per charge, making it a total of 4,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's what I needed to know.
Okay. All right. Good luck to you, Ms. Davis. Thank you, Mr. Franks.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Appreciate you working on this, Mr. McLean.
Thank you.
It was a level 1.
That's correct.
4,000. Okay.
Okay. Who do we have next?
We have position number 1, Mr. Alexander.
Good afternoon, Mr. Alexander. Let me go ahead and address everyone that's in courtroom 2. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video. You have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. If you do not have a private attorney, we're providing you with the assistance of a public defender this afternoon if you choose to utilize their service. Mr. Alexander, you've been charged in case 25 CR 001117Y with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
This is third. Yeah, the 2016 ag robbery. That's it.
Ms. McConkey?
Your Honor, this incident happened March 3rd of 2024. The incident location, 2025, I apologize. The incident location is 7307 Demeter Drive in Atlanta. The victim in this case is Victoria Reeves. The parties were having an argument at the defendant's home when the victim attempted to drive off and the defendant punched her in the face. A neighbor showed officers doorbell camera footage where you can see the parties yelling at each other while their child is taken into the home. The victim then drives forward and the defendant is seen punching her. She then grabs her head after the punch and drives to the front of the neighborhood where she calls and meets with police officers. Our office has spoken with the victim in this case, Ms. Reeves, who states her and the defendant are not in a relationship. They do not live together, but they do share one child. She confirmed the events in the warrant, stated that she came to the residence to pick up a clothing item for their child because the defendant didn't return it. She sent the child in the house to get that item. The defendant said he didn't have it, and that is where the argument started. She states this is not the first time the defendant has been violent towards her. She has called the police on the defendant in Texas, but no arrests were made. The defendant has been violent with her here in Georgia, but this is the first time she's called the police. She told our victim advocate she doesn't know if she wants contact with him or not, but will go with whatever the judge decides. She states the defendant currently does not know where she lives. The state's recommendation is a $1,500 surety bond based on the allegations in this case and the fact that the victim told us the defendant has been violent with her in the past. No further contact, stay away from the victim's residence, wherever that may be, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. I would ask the court to sound for Miss Victoria Reeves.
Ms. Reeves, I see you there. If you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. You certainly do not have to, but if you would like to, you need to unmute yourself, activate your camera, and I'll have to swear you in. Yes, ma'am. If you can raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? We can't hear you, Miss Reeves. Let's see. Try speaking again. Unfortunately, we don't have the volume. Was there anything more that you wanted to tell us than what Ms. McCockey had already said? Okay, I think she said no. I appreciate you being here, Ms. Reeves. Sorry that we can't hear you. Mr. Coleman?
Yes, good afternoon. Your Honor, I'd be requesting a signature bond from Mr. Alexander. He is 31 years of age. He's lived here in the Atlanta area for the last 3 years. He is a high school graduate, currently working at Spondivis Restaurant for the last 3 months. He is the father of one 5-year-old child. It appears that his last arrest was back in 2016, some 9 years ago. I will be requesting a signature bond on his behalf, or in lieu of that, a low bond.
And Your Honor, I did see an arrest from 2022 for possession of a Schedule I controlled substance and purchase, possession, manufacture, distribution, or sale of marijuana.
Okay. It will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial, level 1. No further contact with Ms. Reeves. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Alexander.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Who do we have next?
Position number 2, Ms. Applewhite.
Good afternoon, Ms. Applewhite. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001119J with driving while your license was suspended or revoked, no insurance, canceled or revoked registration, and willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Fifth arrest on probation out of Fayette County, driving without a valid license. 2019 DUI arrest. 2019 suspended license dismissed.
Rocky?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened on the 27th of February. Officers were patrolling Magnolia Lane and John Rivers Road in Fairborn, where they observed the defendant driving very slowly. Officers conducted a traffic stop upon discovering that the vehicle she was in had no insurance and suspended registration. They made contact with her and she told them that she did not have her license and that it was at home. Upon doing a GCIC check, it was revealed that her license was in fact suspended. While conducting an inventory of the vehicle, officers found a black wallet that did in fact contain 2 driver's licenses belonging to the defendant. Upon them telling her that she would be arrested, she did advise of a medical concern, so she was initially released to Grady. The state's recommendation is a signature bond, no driving, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Mr. Coleman?
No objection to a signature bond.
Okay, for each charge, it'll be a $500 signature bond through the jail, makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. No driving without a valid license, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Miss Applewhite.
Thank you,
Thank
Your Honor.
You're welcome. See you next time. Are we done with ACDC?
Yes, we're completed. Thank
Okay.
you. Have a good one.
The same, thank you.
Next,
Could we have, go ahead.
I'm sorry, we have position number 6, Mr. Gooden.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gooden. You've been charged in case 25 CR 001121D with battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Fifth arrest. Looks like he on probation, participation in criminal street gang activity, theft by taking. 2018 FTA, 2017 theft by receiving, possession of marijuana conviction.
Copy.
Your Honor, this incident happened on March 2nd at 3255 Chestnut Drive in East Point. The victim in this case is Miss Destiny Blount. This was a dual arrest. The victim was also arrested for aggravated assault. Officers arrived at the location and spoke with the victim, who advised that she and the defendant were arguing over their child having a bump on her head when the defendant began to choke her while they were in the bedroom. The victim stated that she then proceeded to go to the kitchen to avoid the defendant, and he followed her and punched her several times and then began choking her again. The victim did have a busted lip. The victim told officers that she did slash the defendant in the arm with a knife because she was trying to stop him from hitting her. The defendant told officers that he accidentally bumped into the victim when he went into the kitchen and that she began to hit him. However, he would not tell officers how exactly he was hit. He told officers that the slash on his arm was caused by a knife, but he said the victim did not do it and he wasn't sure how it got there. He did deny hitting the victim and stated that he was only trying to stop her from hitting him. Given the particular facts of this case, the state's recommendation will be for a surety bond, that he have no further contact with this victim whatsoever. I will defer to the court regarding the stay away. I'm not exactly sure what the living arrangement is for this incident location. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Ms. Coleman.
Your Honor, I'd be requesting a signature bond for Mr. Gooden. He's 27 years of age, lifelong resident of Atlanta, Fulton County. Mr. Gooden is a high school graduate. He's been employed at NFI Industries as a supervisor for the last 2 years. He is the father of a 4-month-old child. Appears that this was a dual arrest with my client actually being attacked and assaulted with a knife. It's only 5th arrest. Again, I'd be requesting a signature bond on his behalf. I think an argument can be made for self-defense.
All right, it's going to be a $1,000 good bond. No further contact with Destiny Blount. Stay away from the Chestnut Drive address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. Abide by any pre-existing child custody arrangements. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Gooden.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Courtroom 2, do we have Edward Roussel there? I believe that he's represented by a private attorney, Mr. O'Rourke.
Yeah, he's over at Union City. I didn't see them log on yet.
Okay, I was trying to get to you, Mr. O'Rourke, but as soon as we have Union City log on, I'll take your case, okay?
I appreciate you, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you, okay. Who do we have next?
Position number 7, Mr. Hart.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hart. You've been charged in case 25 CR 001122A with battery family violence. It's my understanding that this is Mr. Hart's first arrest. Ms. McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened on the 2nd. I have that the incident location is 10015 Timberstone Road in Johns Creek. The victim in this case is Mr. Michael Zuniga, who lives at the same residence as the defendant. On the day of the incident, the defendant was very intoxicated and was yelling at his mother, Ms. Kimberly, Hart, the victim, intervened with the intent to separate them. The defendant then got in the victim's face and began punching him. The victim grabbed the defendant to try to control him and wrestled him to the ground. When officers arrived at the location, they did observe the victim on top of the defendant, clearly trying to keep him in control and also to protect himself. Officers did note that the victim was bleeding. When officers were present, they again noted that the defendant was extremely intoxicated. He began to throw up and then began making statements about self-harm. Our office has spoken with the victim in this case, who is the boyfriend of the defendant's mom. They do live together at that instant location. He did confirm the events in the warrant, stated that things have never gotten physical before, but that the defendant does get angry and does punch holes in the wall. He stated that the defendant has been having issues with drinking. He wants absolutely no contact with the defendant and that the residence belongs to the defendant's mother, Ms. Hart. Our office did speak with Ms. Hart, who at the time stated that she was unsure of what she wants to do as far as the defendant returning to the residence. However, because the victim does live there and he has indicated that he wants no contact, we will be asking for a stay away from that incident location, no further contact with the victim at this time, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol, that he undergo anger awareness and have random screens for alcohol as well. Given this is his first arrest, the state is okay with the signature bond. And I would just ask the court to sound for the victim in this case.
Mr. Zuniga, I see you on the line. If you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I'll need for you to activate your camera and unmute yourself.
I really
Okay.
have no further statements, Your Honor, but
Thank you for being here this afternoon, Mr.
all right.
Zuniga. Ms. Hart, I see
Thank
you
you.
there as well. You're welcome. I see you there as well. Would you like to address the court this afternoon?
Hi, yes,
Okay, I'm happy to have you address the court, ma'am. If you can raise your right hand for me.
I'm sorry, I thought you couldn't hear me. Yes,
Can you do you swear from the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes.
Okay, you can place your hand down. What would you like to tell me?
The solicitor's office called and we were just discussing where he's gonna go from here since I and Michael Zuniga live together. And Preston can't have any contact. What will happen to Preston?
Okay, so how old is your son?
19.
Does he have anywhere else that he can reside in the meantime?
He has a father that lives in Missouri who has declined accepting him.
Your Honor,
Yes, who's speaking?
Mr. Hart, I am Preston's father.
Okay, so you'll have to come on camera for me, Mr. Hart, and I'll be happy to hear from you. Ms. Kimberly, so give me a moment, Mr. Brockhart. Ms. Kimberly Hart, what else would you like to tell me? So we're trying to find arrangements for your son, given that he's 19. I'm gonna have to, if I'm gonna give him a signature bond, I'm gonna have to be assured that he has a place to reside. So, can you tell me something about that, Mr. Brockhart?
Yes, sir. I will. He is welcome to come and stay with me. I just need to have a conversation with him.
Okay. Are you gonna be able to come and retrieve him?
Unfortunately, no, I will not be able to come back to Georgia to get him.
Okay, we're gonna have to make some types of arrangements to have him transported to, where do you live, sir?
I am in Steele, Missouri.
Okay. All right, let me get back with you all in a moment. Mr. Coleman.
Yes, Your Honor,
I'm willing to give Mr. Preston Hart a signature bond, but for me to do that, I'm gonna need for there to be arrangements made for him to be transported to Hart once he's released. So can we make those type of arrangements, or can you work with Mr. Hart to get those arrangements made?
I could speak with Mr. Hart after court to see if he has any resources to possibly afford transportation to get to Missouri.
Okay. Anything else that you want to as I said, I'm going to give him a signature bond. Anything further, Mr. Coleman?
Nothing. I was hoping that it would be no further violent contact, but if his father is willing to take him in, then that's fine with us.
Okay, so apparently Mr. Zuniga does not want him back in the household. So there's going to be no further contact with Mr. Zuniga. There's going to be no further violent contact with Miss Kimberly Hart. He's going to have to stay away from that Timberstone Drive address. He can go back to that address on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings, or he can have his belongings given to him by Miss Kimberly Hart. So it will be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. There is to be an adult co-signer. Given that Miss Kimberly Hart is here in Georgia, I will have her be the adult co-signer if she will take on that responsibility to transport her son, Preston, to however you're going to get him to for transport to Mr. Brockhart in Missouri. There ought to be no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons while out on bond. Okay, anything further, Mr. Coleman?
No, nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, so you all are going to have to work with Ms. Hart. You're going to have to work with Mr. Coleman because your son's not going to be released until he's released to you. And he's also not going to be released until there's a plan in place to get him from Georgia to Missouri. Okay?
I understand. May I offer a suggestion?
Yes, ma'am.
If Michael is not at the home for a few days, can Preston come home to pack up his things? Is he allowed to drive himself to Missouri?
Does he own a vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. All right. As long as and he's 19 years old, so he is of age. As long as Mr. Zuniga is not at the residence, he can have no contact whatsoever with Michael Zuniga, okay? I will allow him to pack up his things as long as Mr. Zuniga, and since you have a contact, I'm not restricting him from being with you, but he is restricted from being in the household while Mr. Zuniga is there.
Well, she
And
said
he's
at
also,
6:24 that our responses are overdue.
and he cannot have any contact with Mr. Zuniga, okay?
This is my objection.
Completely
However he get-
understand.
Okay, and so I will allow him to drive to Missouri as long as he leaves the state going directly to Missouri to Mr. Hart.
Yes.
And I did.
Yes, Mr. Coleman.
No, I did put my phone number in the chat for Ms. Hart.
Okay, can you see that number, Ms. Hart?
I'm sorry, I do not.
Okay, it's in the chat. Are you able to
I see.
access the chat there? Okay.
Thank you.
So that's his attorney, so you'll work with him, okay? All right, very
I
good. Good
appreciate
luck
that.
to you. Good luck to you all.
Thank you.
Holly,
Thank
put
you.
on the bond order. He has a report by phone, because otherwise they're gonna tell him he can't go. Supervision.
Will do.
We have next. Okay, you're on mute, courtroom 2. Who do we have?
Apologize. We have position number 13, Mr. Spears.
Good afternoon, Mr. Spear. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001116B with 2 counts of battery family violence. Your history, Mr. Howard?
2019 battery, simple battery dismissed. Before that was 1998. That's it.
Your Honor,
Alan? Yes.
this is an incident from the 2nd of March. Police were called to 2479 Peachtree Road, apartment 1209. There, they spoke with the live-in boyfriend of this defendant, the victim, Taryn Rem, R-E-H-M. He reported that they had gone out for drinks, and during a conversation, the defendant became angry and charged at the victim. He was punched in the face. He was reported to have abrasions, cuts, and scratches to his face, as well as his hands. He had been bitten on his finger and shoved to the ground as well. It was Mr. Rem who called 911. Police on scene detained the defendant and took him into custody. We did speak with the victim today. He reports that he has left the location and that they are no longer together. He's actually returning to Texas, where he's from. He would request no contact. He reported being in fear of the defendant. If you would call for Mr. Rem in case he has joined us, because of that prior arrest for battery, we're asking for a $2,000 surety, no contact with Mr. Rem. First name is spelled Taryn. There's no need for a stay away, seeing as the victim has left the location, but no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, excuse me. Thank you.
Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, Mr. Spear is 57. He has owned a restaurant in Atlanta. He's also been a subcontractor to another restaurant doing decorating, hosting, waiting, and managing. Currently, he is disabled and is receiving SSI support. He's a high school graduate. His high school was in Bristol, Tennessee, but he's been in Georgia quite some time. It looks like for decades. We'd ask the court to consider a signature bond.
All right, for each charge, it will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Mr. Rem, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Spear.
Yeah, thank you. No, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we have position number 8, Mr. Jackson. Let me step back here. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jackson. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001123A with willful obstruction of law enforcement officers, driving under the influence of alcohol, less safe, failure to have license on person, and improper erratic lane change. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
14, 2019 and 17 probation, 2016 FTA. And he had a weapon in the school safety zone. First offender. I didn't see any driving in the history.
Thank you. Ms. McConkey?
Your Honor, I also saw that he had a 2025 FTA. He has a 2023. This is Mr. Raynard Jackson, right? Position 8. He has a 2023.
Yes, it is.
Okay, an open 2023 battery 23 CR 005672A, as well as an open felony case 24 SC 004036. This case this incident occurred on June 28th, 2024. Officers observed the defendant hitting his brakes excessively and turning his bright lights on and off. They conducted a traffic stop as a result of this. The defendant told officers that he did not have his driver's license on him, and officers noted that the defendant had extremely slurred speech and his eyes were very glossy. They also smelled what smelled like burnt marijuana coming from inside the vehicle, as well as the smell of alcohol coming from his breath. In the middle of conducting the field sobriety test, the defendant took off running and officers lost visual sight of him as he ran into the wood line. The state's recommendation is for a $5,000 surety bond, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. That surety bond request is based on the allegations in this case that he was driving while under the influence of alcohol. Luckily, in this particular incident, no one was hurt, but we all know that could have ended differently. Coupled with the fact that he fled from officers during this incident, he has more than a dozen arrests in his history and also has those open cases as well as an FTA.
Yes, Mr. Coleman.
Your Honor, I'd be requesting a signature bond from Mr. Jackson. He is 30 years of age, lifetime resident of Atlanta, Fulton County. He attended 2 years of college at Spartanburg. He is employed at a warehouse in East Point for the past 2 years. It appears that this is his first DUI. This is a nonviolent offense. I remind the court at this time that these are just allegations against Mr. Jackson. Again, I'd be requesting a signature bond.
Okay, for the obstruction, $500 good bond. For the DUI, $1,000 good bond. For the license, a $250 good bond. For the improper erratic lane change, a $250 good bond. Makes for a total of a $2,000 good bond. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Jackson.
Next, we have position number 10, Mr. Lemus.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lemus. You've been charged in case 25 CR 001128F with simple battery and willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Your history, Mr. Howard?
20 on probation. Gwinnett, giving false name, possession of a controlled substance. 2 probations from last year, 2023, 2022 FTA, 2020 battery DV, simple assault DV conviction. I got a couple of burglary convictions in this history. 2012 criminal damage to property conviction.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This young man also has an AKA of Brandon Butler, and that's his name in the system for this case. This is an incident from the 3rd of March. Police were actually flagged down outside of Zone 3 here, APD police. The victim, Myosha Puryear, her last name is spelled Puryear. First name is Miyoshia. She reported that during an argument with the defendant there outside, she said that she wanted to walk away and leave. He grabbed her and demanded money from her. When she refused, he punched her in the face. She reported she was feeling pain in her face, but there were no visible injuries. He then snatched her phone and fled on foot. Police, with the description she provided, canvassed the area. He was located under the underpass, I-75 North near Metropolitan. He then ran into oncoming traffic and fled from police, ignoring their verbal commands. Jefferson Smalls, excuse me. He was detained and identified and arrested. The victim did report prior violence, and I pulled a report from January of 2024 with the same individual. We were not able to get in touch with the victim yet this morning or today, but we'll continue those efforts. Based on his numerous prior convictions, including multiple failure to appears in the last year or two and prior battery family violence conviction. We're asking for a $4,000 surety. No contact with the victim in this case, Mrs. Puryear. Again, that's Puryear. Stay away from wherever she may live. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Thank you.
Ms. Puryear is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Your Honor. Roberto Lemus is 30 years old. He is from Georgia, lived here all his life. He went to Tri-Cities High School. He does staffing jobs. The staffing agencies, the temporary agencies with which he has worked include Staffing Zone, Express, Latrell, and Surge. So he is very industrious and makes his living that way. We would ask the court to consider as low as possible a bond, including a signature bond if that is possible. Thank you.
For the simple battery, it'll be a $750 good bond. For the obstruction, a $250 good bond. Makes for a total of a $1,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Puryear. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Lemus.
Next, we have position number 14, Mr. Tillman.
Good afternoon, Mr. Tillman. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001118H with battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Number 10, 2020 simple battery DV conviction.
Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. The defendant in front of you does have a prior simple battery family violence conviction. It's against the same victim, his wife, Vicky Tillman, and it's very similar, actually. The same witness was present, their granddaughter, Raven. It happened at the same location. This is a couple who have been married for 50 years. Both occasions, the defendant accused his wife of stealing things from him and assaulted her. On this occasion, we have a battery family violence because there's visible injury to her elbow. On the 3rd of March at about 11 p.m., police were called to 462 Charter Oak Drive, Southwest. There, they met with the victim, Mrs. Vicky Tillman. She reported that during an argument where she'd been sitting on the couch with their granddaughter, the defendant began yelling at her for bending a photograph. He then accused her of stealing clothing and jewelry. He began swinging at her, and when she walked away, he shoved her into a closet, damaging or bruising her elbow. This was done in front of their granddaughter, who was a witness. She's also the person who made the police call and then also made a statement. Mrs. Vicky Tillman reported to police that she felt unsafe. The prior incident and conviction 20 CR 001182Y. The defendant evidently completed DVIP and was ordered to have no further violent contact with his wife. She says that there hasn't been any violent contact between these times, but that she's unsure what triggers him. She said she's not afraid for her safety if he comes back to the home, but based on that prior conviction, Your Honor, the state has some concerns. We do understand the defendant's sister, Valeria Logan, has offered her residence as a place where he can stay. We would request a mental health evaluation and to follow through with any recommended interventions or treatment. We'd ask for a $2,000 surety, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and no violent contact. We'd ask for him to stay away from the home until that evaluation is complete and there can be some cooling off, Your Honor. And if you'd sound for Mrs. Vicky Tillman.
Ms. Tillman, I see you on the line. If you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I need for you to, if you like to, unmute yourself and activate your camera, and I'll have to swear you in. Ms. Tillman, I'm giving you the opportunity to speak to me if you'd like to. You certainly don't have to. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, Jerry Tillman is 73. He is retired as a carpenter. He worked as a carpenter at Clark College, Georgia Tech, Georgia Baptist Hospital. He went to Harper High School and graduated back in the day. We would ask the court to consider the lowest bond possible with appropriate conditions.
What would be the appropriate conditions according to you, Mr. McLean?
I'm not opposed to a BHET or a social worker visit, certainly to determine if they think one is necessary. Some better like that to be outpatient, and if he could have a signature bond, that would be super.
Were you able to speak to anyone in his family?
No, just spoke only to him and double checked. I called the phone number that was listed on the 3 card to make sure the family was zooming in, but other than that, didn't get any detail.
Ms. Kester, are you here on this case?
It's definitely a mystifying situation with the 5 years. Yeah, no problem.
Well, Miss Tillman is here, but she doesn't want to, so that tells me if she doesn't want to talk to me, which of course she doesn't have to, but that uh I'm not gonna allow him back in the household if I don't hear
Right.
directly from her.
Oh, understood. Yes.
So I do think that a BHET would be advisable. So it will be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2, a BHET. No further contact at this time with Ms. Tillman. Stay away from the incident location. He can go back to that location on one occasion with law enforcement to retrieve any belongings. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Your Honor,
Okay.
Your Honor, I apologize. I couldn't figure out how to unmute myself.
Okay, you're fine, Ms. Tillman. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good
Okay.
afternoon.
Okay, so if you can raise your right hand for me, ma'am. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you can place your hand down. What would you like to tell me about your husband and the situation?
I would just like to say it's been very peaceful for the last 5 years, and the meetings that he attended from the first incident really did help him to be better at managing his anger. I don't know what upset him on last night. I don't know what it was, but something did, and I just don't know what. But he has not been violent against me over the past 5 years.
Okay, well that changed recently, though, didn't it?
Last night.
Okay, so at this point in time, does he have someplace else that he can stay in the meantime while we try to figure this out?
I thought I heard someone say they had talked with his sister, Valerie Logan.
Okay.
Yes,
So
Your Honor.
okay, so he does have a sister, so I'm gonna require that that at this point in time, until we can figure out what's going on, that he's not to have any further contact with you, okay?
Okay.
All right, so I've also ordered him to have an evaluation, so maybe that will help us to see what's going on, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you, Ms. Tillman. I appreciate you being here this afternoon.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Mr. Tillman, good luck to you, sir.
Next we have position number 15, Mr. White.
Good afternoon, Mr. White. You've been charged in case 25 CR 0011158 with criminal trespass and damage to property and simple battery. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
45. Got open cases, DeKalb County criminal damage to property, criminal attempt to commit a felony and trespass, trespass and theft by taking, regular trespass, arrest by itself, obstruction, giving false name, 2023 probation, 2023 PI obstruction no low, 2022 probation, 2022 shoplifting conviction, 2021 PI conviction, 2021 and 2020 parole violation, 2020 probation, 2018 trespass no low, 2013 battery conviction, 2011 possession of tools, criminal attempt to commit a felony conviction.
Your Honor, this is a incident from the 2nd of March. Incident location is 1789 McClelland Avenue, apartment 3 in East Point. It is the residence of the victim, Kavita Carter, and that's spelled Kevida. Police responded to the location on a call about an assault. They met with Mrs. Carter, who reported that her ex-boyfriend had become angry. He couldn't find his socks. He was making food at the location. And during that argument, he struck her, and then he kicked in her bedroom door. Officers were able to see The door frame was damaged and there was a visible hole in the door. She reported that they don't live together. She also told police she didn't want to press charges as it relates to the assault on her. We tried to get in touch with the victim today, Mrs. Carter. That was not successful, but based on the review of this criminal history and the open case now out of DeKalb County, we're asking for a $2,500 surety to stay away from Mrs. Carter and wherever she may live. No contact with her and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Thank you.
Ms. Carter's on the line. She's to the court.
Something's wrong with the audio.
Ms. McLean, can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay, go ahead.
Your Honor, thank you. Raphael White is 38, and it appears that he's lived in Georgia all his life. He was born here. He has some college. He's also a certified forklift operator. He has worked for Fisher Construction Company, a landscaping company. He's worked for a concrete forming company. So he's very industrious, and we would ask the court to consider the lowest bond possible given this circumstance, including picture if that is. Thank you.
Okay, for each charge, it'll be $1,000 good bond, makes for a total of a $2,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Carter. Stay away from the incident location. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
May I say something to you? Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. White, hold on. Let me just tell you, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you, okay? So I'm happy to let you speak with Mr. McLean if you would like, so that he can see if your question is appropriate for me. I just don't want to get you to get in any further trouble. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
Okay, so Mr. McLean.
If y'all can have him call extension 25215, it's right here.
Okay.
Okay, can we go to the South Annex while y'all are doing that?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Mr. O'Rourke. Thank you for your patience. I take it that the South Annex, can we get you all to unmute there for us, please? And I take it that this is Mr. Roussel?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, good afternoon. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Mr. Roussel, you've been charged in case 25 CR 001124J with possession of a pistol or revolver by a person under 18 years of age. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Yeah, he was arrested in November for shoplifting, but I'm sure the state will probably explain this to you because I saw it in a warrant. But so I guess it's all his first arrest, Judge, because this happened with the shoplifting.
Okay,
It seemed like
you.
it did based on the warrant. Okay.
Okay. Yes, Miss Allen.
Correct. That November 23rd, 2024 arrest for shoplifting, the defendant went to the city jail and the municipal court, Atlanta Municipal Court dismissed that charge through the community court system just in February. The officer arresting this young man for shoplifting in November was, after the arrest, taking his book bag that was found to be in his possession to evidence when he realized there was a firearm in the book bag. This was the shoplifting at Target. The firearm, along with a 21-round extended magazine and 5 rounds loaded in the firearm, was at Target and was arrested for shoplifting. He's 17 years old, Your Honor. He is not legally able to possess a firearm. And so that's where this charge is from. It's a single charge for the possession of the firearm by an underage person. We're asking for a $10,000 surety because of his age and because of the danger to the public, honestly. We'd ask for a parental cosigner and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Thank you.
And Your Honor, if I may, on behalf of Mr. Roselle, he's a graduating senior, and he has applied for college and has actually received acceptance into several programs. He's staying with his mother. She's actually on right now, Miss Piper Kester, and she's here, and he will be staying with her. And so I'm sure a co-signature would not be an issue. I'm sure he's just wanting to get this behind him. So we're just hoping that you would agree to a signature bond on this, and we will proceed as needed.
Okay, Ms. Kester, if you could come on for me, please.
She's on here.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, can you raise your right hand for me?
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can place your hand down. Thank you, ma'am. What would you like to tell me about Edward?
Edward's a good kid overall. He found himself in the wrong crowd. He's always been really driven, so much so he could have graduated early. Has 2 more classes before he graduates North Atlanta High School. Took the route of Atlanta Career and Academy last year and got his dental certificate. So we were looking at pre-dentistry programs here in Atlanta and here in Georgia. Did really well. We were excited for the Georgia match. He's been accepted to most colleges here in Georgia, 3.0 student. Nice kid, unaware of the law, I'm assuming, or I'm not, I can't speak to whatever else is going on, but we know that this was just a grave mistake. And he's, serious about going to college, getting his degree. I mean, this was just really devastating to the family and just staying on track. His brother is 1 year ahead of him at Georgia State now. We're a family of college graduates with multiple degrees. Uncle is a West Point grad, so a really good family, really solid family, a lot of support. I'm remarried. His father is remarried. Huge family, so a ton of support. I'm sorry.
Okay. You're fine, Ms. Kester. Does he live with you at the present time?
Yes.
Okay, and he's in school full time?
Yes. So he actually just has 2 classes left. So he's doing those classes online at home. Every day he's logging in to do those classes, and he's recently gotten a job at Walmart here close to the house as a online shopper for them to do something in the afternoon.
Okay, and how else does he occupy his time?
They have volunteer service requirements for North Atlanta, and so he's been making sure to do those as well.
Okay, I'm going to impose a curfew on him. Anything further, Mr. O'Rourke?
No, Your Honor, I'm sure we're not opposed to any of the actual requirements that you have. I'm sure that Mr. Roussel will definitely adhere to your requirements and make sure that we move forward in this matter as expeditiously as possible.
Okay. It will be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. He's to stay in school. He is to have a curfew. He's to be in by 9 p.m. and he's to stay in until 6 a.m. He's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. He is to relinquish any weapons that he does have. All right. Mr. Edward Roussel, good luck to you, sir. It appears that you have a good support system here for you. So anything further, Mr. O'Rourke?
No, Your Honor, that is all. We really appreciate you.
You're welcome. Good luck to you, Ms. Kester.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good rest of your day.
All right, you too.
Thank you. Who do we have next?
Position number 11, Mr. Owens.
Donald Beatty.
I'm sorry, Mr. Beatty. That's position number 3, Mr. Donald Beatty.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Beatty. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001120G with criminal trespass. The history, Mr. Howard.
22. Got an open suspended license, drug-related object. That's out of Cherokee County. Open suspended license, driving without a valid license in Fulton. On probation, possession of drug-related objects as of February. 2024 FTA, 2018 FTA, 2017 shoplifting arrest, 2016 theft by deception conviction, trespass NOLO, 2015 robbery first offender, and wanted out of DeKalb County.
Your Honor, this incident happened on March 3rd. The defendant is accused of trespassing at the Walmart located at 970 Mansell Road in Roswell after he had previously received a criminal trespass warning from that location. I do see that he does have that hold out of DeKalb County, so we would be okay with the signature bond to a release to that hold that he has. Stay away from that incident location, that Walmart located on Mansell Road. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Coleman.
Yeah, Your Honor, obviously we have no objection to a signature bond. Mr. Beatty is 41 years of age. He is a lifetime resident of Atlanta, Fulton County. He does have his GED. He attended Atlanta Area Tech. However, he is not working, therefore has no money to post for bond.
Mr. Howard, does he have a previous criminal trespass?
I can check. Let me check real
Okay,
quick.
if he doesn't, I can send him through the jail. If he does, I'm gonna have to send him through pre-trials, my understanding.
Does he have a previous trespass arrest or conviction?
Conviction.
Hold on, let's see. I didn't make a note of it. Let me see.
I didn't see one when I was looking at his GCIC.
I'll say a
It's
bunch
not,
of,
it's not noted here, Mr. Howard. That's
yeah, it's a bunch
yeah.
of theft. Nah, he don't
Okay.
have one. Yeah, hold on. Nah, I don't see a conviction. He has a 2023 trespass arrest, but there's no disposition.
Okay.
So,
There'll be a
yeah.
$2,000. I'm gonna release him to the hold. $2,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from the Walmart on Mansell Road. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Thank you.
Good
Did you
luck
say
to you, Mr. B.
Did you say 2,000?
I did, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who do we have next?
Next, we have position number 11, Mr. Owens.
Good afternoon, Mr. Owens. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001127F with willful obstruction of law enforcement, fleeing or attempting to elude, and a seatbelt violation. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Hey, officer, what was the FS charges? What was the bond? He on probation out of Henry County for robbery. Saw open armed robbery act assault 2022 and 2021 probation. I'll go get that felony bond. I'll be back.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
75,000.
Apparently 75,000, excuse me. Okay. Yes, Ms. Allen.
Sure. This young man was picked up on those felony charges that he was in first appearance for today, felony drug and possession of a firearm by a first offender, potentially. When he was picked up, he had active warrants that were pending from June of this past year, June 21st of 2024. He was actually seen driving a 2014 Chrysler with a woman in the passenger seat. He was at the location of Fairburn Road and MLK Junior Drive, and he was seen to not be wearing a seatbelt. So officers initiated a traffic stop. The defendant, instead of stopping for police, sped up and got onto the highway. Officers followed, but just at a safe distance, not an actual chase. They realized traffic was slowing down, and then they looked over and saw that this defendant had spun out and lost control of his vehicle, so a single car accident. He then got out of that vehicle and fled, leaving the passenger, who was the owner of the vehicle. He also, unfortunately for him, dropped his ID. So he was identified using the identification that he left on the scene. He was charged with obstruction for fleeing because he visibly fled on foot from officers as they approached after he spun out of that vehicle, misdemeanor fleeing for fleeing the attempted traffic stop and then the seatbelt violation, Your Honor. We're asking for $3,000 surety. That'd be $1,000 on each count, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Obviously, no driving unless he is licensed and has the proper registration and vehicle info. Thank you.
Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Your Honor. Jalen Owens is 21 years old. He went through the 9th grade at Llewellyn School. I believe that's a high school that includes the 9th grade. Your Honor, he works at his dad's body shop and repair shop in Palmetto. So it's a family business, and he's been lucky to be able to work for the family business doing car repair. He asked the court to set his bond as low as possible, including a signature bond, if that is possible in this circumstance. Thank you.
Obstruction, there'll be a $400 good bond. With a fleeing, a $500 good bond. With a seatbelt, a $100 good bond. Makes for a total of $1,000 good bond. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir.
So y'all want me to pay $1,000?
Yeah, $1,000 surety, yes, total, sir.
Will that go with
Okay.
bond? Yeah. So that I gonna add up. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Position number 9, Mr. Johnson, he posted bond.
Okay, thank you. And that completes the calendar, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, very good, thank you. We
State,
appreciate it.
what happened to Peyton?
His shoplifting warrant should be a felony.
Okay, I just wondering if I had it on the pull sheet. Okay, he got a lot of it anyway. But,
Yeah.
okay.
And did Mr. Oh, hold on. The gentleman with the terroristic threats, was he released?
Treywick.
Yeah.
What's the last name?
Treywick, I'm sorry, Donald Treywick.
Yeah, he got released.
Thank you.
He posted bond, yes.
Did he get notice that his case was upgraded to a felony? Do you know, Mr. McLean?
I doubt it. I never talked to him.
Awesome. All right.
Bridgewater, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready, Your Honor. Once again, the reset date for the SAP calendar is March the 18th. Position number 1 is reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. Position 2 is reset further notice with a total $2,000 SOB through the jail. Position 3 is reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through the jail. Position 4 is reset further notice with a total $4,000 SOB through pretrial with a co-signer of Jermaine Franks. Position 5 is reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through the jail. Position 6 is going to the SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. Position 7 is reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial, a co-signer of Kimberly Hart.
What's the contact?
Card is no further contact with Michael Zungla. I may have pronounced it wrong.
That's
And
fine.
no further violent contact with Kimberly Hart. Position 8 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $2,000 good bond. 9 is reset further notice. The defendant has been released. 10 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $1,000 good bond. 11 is going to the SAP calendar with a total of a $1,000 good bond. 12 is reset further notice with a $5,000 SOB through pretrial with a co-signer of Piper Castor. And 13 is reset further notice with a total $4,000 SOB through pretrial. 14 is reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. And 15 is going to the SAP calendar with a total of a $2,000 good bond. Are there any
Yeah,
questions?
14, you said 3,000?
14 is a 3,000.
That's level 2.
Level 2, that is correct.
And number 1, do number 1 for me, please. And I need to contact
Number
with y'all.
1 is a level 1 with a $2,000 SOB through pretrial.
What's the contact?
No further contact.
Thank you.
Are there any other?
All good?
Thank you, everybody.
I feel as though I was in school today with Mr. Howard. Okay. Take care,
My bad.
everybody. See you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good one.